Hello, everyone. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. And today I'm back with another great topic to discuss about. That is body positivity. Speaking of that, today's guest is a woman oozing with confidence and positivity. She is lovely, charismatic, and one of the sweetest women that I have ever met. Please meet Yashu Rao, a plus size model and a confidence coach. Yashu, I'm super glad to have you on the show. And would you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Yashu Rao. I am a plus size model, stylist, creative director, and of course, confidence coach. And I'm so honored to be here today with you. I think, body positivity is definitely something that needs to be talked about. And it's not just about body as in a plus size body. Body positivity is every type of body. So a good way to remember that is everybody. So everybody and everybody is so important. So I'm really happy to be here today to talk to you about that.
So Yashu, the first time that I came to know about you was when I saw you featured in Urban Asia website. Your message was loud and clear. I want to empower South Asian women. I think that's amazing. Like being a South Asian woman myself, that kind of reminded me all the subconscious programming that we have grown up with, like only slim people are beautiful, only fair skin is acceptable. And the problem with these norms is like little kids who have these normal traits or being labeled as not normal. And they're prone to a lot of bullying at school, right? Like, they lose confidence, they lack self-esteem, and the entire society is looking at them and telling, you are not good enough. So that seems very brutal to me. And I'd like to know your thoughts on this.
Absolutely. And I think that's exactly why I decided to do what I decided to do. I grew up being bullied and harassed, especially coming from a South Asian background. I think we are stuck in these kind of boundaries that you have to be slim and slender. Men and women, beauty is measured by the fairness of your skin. Exactly. Men cannot be balding. Men have to be a certain height. Women have to be a certain dimension on their bodies. These are all standards, which a lot of times are unrealistic. And the culture is so ingrained on creating this standard. And for me, I think I really hit a point where I said, you know what, enough is enough. When family was telling me and dictating how I should live my life, it came to a point where I'm a healthy person. I'm a healthy, happy woman. And my doctors have told me this. My doctors have said, Yashu, everything about your health is perfect. Keep doing you. Keep exercising the way you are. Keep eating healthy the way you are. So why are you so big? Because some people are just big. So I'm a person who advocates for healthy lifestyle, hence me being a lifestyle coach and working on creating balance in your life. And then also remembering that beauty is honestly being able to stand up for who you are and appreciating your skin.
If you're obese, like, you are by default like unhealthy, and there is this BMI and all that stuff. And same goes with anorexic people, like, who are like underweight too. So also I've seen some debates where people say, like, especially with the plus size model campaigns going everywhere, are we glorifying obesity? And where do you draw that line, like, body positivity versus obesity?
So, and it comes back into lifestyle, right? If you are a person who is maintaining good lifestyle, and what that means is if you are working out and if you are eating healthy, if you are maintaining balance with your mental health, if you are maintaining balance with your social health, if you're maintaining balance with all physical health, like all of these different factors, if you are maintaining health in those aspects, then what you are, what flesh and skin is, doesn't matter. My internal functionality is great by grace, by universe, by energy, whatever it is. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that. I'm putting in the effort for that. If you know that you are drinking 6 milkshakes a day, eating 7 burgers a day, and you are obese, yes, you have the right to live the way you want. But if someone says, hey, you're doing you're practicing unhealthiness, you can't take that negatively, because essentially that's what you're doing.
Yep.
But if a person is not practicing unhealthy practices and you're being told you're unhealthy, that's when the problem comes.
My brother, for example, he is super underweight since he was a child. I'm sure he has been bullied, harassed for being underweight, for being unhealthy, but he is super healthy. Like, he eats great food than me, but the discrimination was real. It's all in the culture. Yeah,
it's absolutely. And I think that discrimination is what is the hardest to deal with. And it's not just that. People come up with these names. They come up with these like name calling, which I think is the biggest problem in the Indian culture. And the reason I use South Asian Indian culture is because I've seen different cultures. I'm from different cultures and backgrounds. But when I see the way humor, for example, works in each of these cultures, so if you go to an American person and then you call her, hey, fatty, no, they're not going to accept.
That's rude. That's unacceptable. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you go into the Indian culture and you have a nickname Gundu or Moti or something, people.
It's fair. Also in movies, like.
It's so wrong.
Yeah.
It is so wrong. And it teaches the youth and people out there the wrong message, which is why I became a model. So if anyone says anything about me, if anyone comments, right, I just tell them, go to this magazine and you'll find me in there because I'm a model.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your childhood and how you became a model. And I also know you are doing PhD in nuclear engineering. So I really want to know that story.
Growing up, let's see. So I've always been a very creative person. I am creative. I'm a professional kuchipudi dancer.
Wow, you know that.
Professional Carnatic singer. So for me, like I always grew up very cultural. I come from a very Orthodox family. So I grew up very cultural. And it's one of the proudest points about me. I love that I'm so educated about all of these things. As I started growing up, I was always this big girl, and I was always told like not to wear this, not to wear that. I look bad in this, I look bad in that. And so when I hit that age of puberty, right? We wear half saris, we do all of that. I was always discouraged. I was never allowed to wear those things. I've always been a thick, chubby girl.
Yes,
in fact, I was born, I think I was 10 pounds. I was a big baby too.
Wow, that's a big baby. Yeah.
That is a big baby. So, it just goes to show that because being so big, I was always told or discouraged to do certain things and to be certain ways. And it was really hard for me, especially during those teenage years. With hormones and everything. And at that age, the culture is that you validate yourself by having a boyfriend or being attractive. Yeah. So I found that whole, roller coaster, like, why does everyone hate me? And I fell into depression. So I actually dealt with depression and anxiety. And that was one of the hardest battles ever. It was one of the most difficult times in my life. And this is actually one of the first few times I'm talking about it publicly. I don't publicly, I kind of mention mental health, but this is the ever, I guess, that I'm announcing that, yes, I was diagnosed with depression. Started to really look for validation and started to really try to find ways to validate myself.
Yes.
I think when I went into college, first I went to community college, and I'm proud of the fact that I went to community college. I was never a straight A student. That was another thing. Like, I'm Indian. I'm supposed to be this extremely smart person, which I was. I won international gold medal in science, but I was still not a straight A student. So for me, like, we're all different people. We all learn differently. And that was one of those moments. But I went to community college, and again, during that time, I was still exploring. It was the first time I actually stopped wearing Indian clothes. I used to wear only salwar kameez up till this point, all throughout high school, because I was scared of showing off my body. So I would hide behind these really baggy salwars. And then when I went to college, it was the first time that I wore like leggings, or I would wear like sweatpants or something for the first time in my life. So imagine, first time in 18 years that I wore
Wow.
American, being born and raised here. It was the first time I wore something American. And then when I went, after community college, I went to a 4-year institution, University of Maryland. And there I had a group of, all my friends were Indian. So I really immersed into my Indian culture. But I was, again, wearing American clothes. I was wearing leggings. I felt beautiful. Not as much. I still was being taunted. My nickname in college was Bundu. So I was still being, and I would get jokes. Like I had this, my Twitter name was Pongal Kutti, and they were like, "You're not Pongal Kutti, you're Pongal Satti." Satti means the big pots they used to make during weddings. So
Wow.
that's what they call me. They would say like, "Hey, you know, like, oh, if you don't want to pick that up, just put Yashu on it. She's heavier than Thor's hammer." Apart from that, I think from family, my family, you know, you're not going to get married. It's okay, because in this day and age, you can earn money and take care of your parents. You know, there's this girl, she's super ugly, but right now she's taking care of her parents. So it works out. So you can do this. My relatives were like, one of my relatives were like, it doesn't matter what kind of guy you get. Just find some guy, whether he has a leg or only one eye, it doesn't matter. Just marry someone so we can at least say you're married. It's so, it was so hurtful. I think that was the time when I finally put my foot down and I said, you know what? I'm done with all of this. That and some, you know, meeting really awful Indian men, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, some of the men that I met were who are Indian. Because at this point, I'm dating only Indian men. I'm Indian. I'm very cultural. So for me, I'm, you know, only open to Indian people. And some of the comments that these men used to say, you know, I had a guy. This was like an arranged proposal. This guy comes up and he says, "It's not your fault that you're so ugly, but I'm going to marry you because you're willing to do your PhD so I can show you off to people." And
It's like a, are you a trophy wife at that point or what? Like, you know, again, like treating you like a product, like, you know.
treating me like a product, treating me like a defective product, which is so unreasonable and awful.
Terrible. Yeah, that's
And then
awful.
finally, I was so done. I was so done being mistreated by Indian men. I was so done with everything. And that was right when I had my PhD offer from University of Florida in nuclear engineering, material science engineering, nuclear engineering. So I moved to Florida. It was the first time I moved out of Washington, D.C., out of my parents' house after 25 years, and I moved here. And after I moved here, about a year or so after, and I started meeting people, and the culture here is great. Gainesville is really great because it's a mixing pot of cultures, ages, so it's a really good environment. So once I started meeting people, I remember my roommate, you know, she encouraged me, "Yashu, you should just wear sleeveless. Like that shirt, you don't need to wear a jacket on it, just wear it sleeveless." And I was like, "I've never showed my arms." And she's like, "So what's wrong with your arms? Just wear sleeveless." So I was like, I don't know. But that's when I realized, like, why am I insecure? Why am I so insecure about wearing sleeveless to a place which is going to be like a restaurant or something? No one is going to even look at me. And every time, like, I would take a picture or something, the immediate response would be like, "Go wear proper clothing. What are you wearing?" You know, like it would always be this banter. And I'm like, I look really good. I don't know what you're talking about.
How are you able to, like, you know, being raised in an Orthodox family, and having all these insecurities growing up with bullying and harassment? How did you grow up so strong? How did you come out of all of this?
I see other people, like in my eyes, the strongest person I know is my mother. In my eyes, the strongest woman I know is my mother. And my mother has taught me principles, morals, everything. Both my mother and father are incredible people. My father, he's a world famous scientist. He always trusted education and knowledge to empower people. That's why even we were daughters, he never saw us differently or anything. He said, "I want 2 daughters and I want my daughters to be the most empowered and knowledgeable women." I'm so proud to say my sister is one of a top leading women, like female doctor, physician, surgeon. and I am working on my PhD in nuclear engineering. But even more than that, I'm an extremely talented, creative person. I think I excel with my creativity. And so, and my mother, you know, she raised her family, like she put together her family before marriage. You know, she worked so hard, especially after her father died. She really took on that responsibility of making sure that there was money in the house. So she had a master's degree, which was really big for her time. Strength comes from them. Like seeing them is what drives me when it comes to like strength. I see that and I have to be strong. With that being said, there's always that cultural aspect. And what happens a lot of times is people are very boxed in. People are very boxed in, so they don't have the open mind to see something. Mm-hmm. So when I first came out to my parents to tell them that I am a model, their first, okay, modeling means you're basically doing pornography. That's how our culture sees it. But then the same culture looks at ads on the commercial, has super fans for movie actors and actresses and different celebrities, and people don't see the mission behind it. I became a model to spread positivity, to tell people, stop bullying and harassing people for the way they look. That was my mission. So when I told my parents, I told them, I know this is going to be hard for you to understand. I need you to know that you've instilled good morals and good practices in me. I'm not doing what I'm doing to misuse myself or my beliefs or who I am. I'm doing what I'm doing because I believe something is right. I'm going to follow that. And you don't have to be on the same page. I respect it if you don't agree with me. So let's not make it a topic of discussion. But if you want to keep this relationship between you and me, mother, daughter, daughter, mother, daughter, father, father, daughter, then we need to find topics which are safe that we can talk about. It doesn't have to be modeling where we're going to argue and fight. It could be something else. But just remember the mission. I'm doing what I'm doing because it's a vehicle to deliver my mission. So I'm doing a lot of discretion and it's not doing something just to be a certain way, just to show off my skin or something like that. I'm doing what I'm doing because there's a moral and ethical feeling about it behind.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Also, I can empathize with them because, you know, they come from a generation where none of this is common practice, and
they never even had social media.
Exactly, it must be very new, surprising, and shocking to them. So though they want to support you, it's the people around them. I mean, they come from a generation where they still like hashtag, like you said, what will people think? Like, really, kudos to your parents, Yashu, for believing in your mission. Like, you know, it's I see it more of a agree to disagree situation maybe at this point. Yeah.
Right. It is an agree to disagree. And that, I think that was the hardest thing when I told people, like I came out to my parents, everyone was like, oh, what did they say? Were they super excited for you? Were they super happy? I was like, no, they disproved it. They didn't like it. They don't agree with it. But we've come to terms with the fact that they like it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's very hard. I think that's very hard. And even now, I think my parents, like when it comes to certain things, like we just decided not to talk about it or not to confront it. And I prefer it that way because we can still grow our relationship in another way. Yeah. And either they're going to accept it or they don't. And either way, I think I'm not going to lose my parents and they're not going to lose their daughter over something. So it shows me how strong they are. And I respect them so much for that, for giving. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, they're telling me, Yashu, but don't forget your PhD. Don't forget, you know, your education. And I respect them so much. As much as I'm like, oh my God, I don't know about my PhD and that's so draining. As much as I feel this way, I also am so thankful because I'm able to do so many things because I have my degree. So I am forever grateful for everything.
For pushing you in that direction and making sure you are making that a priority.
I always say this, there are pluses and minuses being Indian, but one of the biggest pluses is family structure and the drive they put in for the success of their generation. Like they create generational wealth, right? Yes. Many cultures, many races, many background people are fighting to create generational wealth when Indian culture is number one. They are the number one people in the world who have created generational wealth. So kudos to like Indian culture because they've taught us to create generational wealth. And being, if I were to become a mother, if I were to have children, I will definitely encourage my children to explore their creative side, but I will also say you need to have a master's degree, if not a doctorate. Like, you need to have a certain level of education before I allow you to, or before you can just ditch everything and go for something.
Right.
I mean, support myself. Every grain of rice I eat, that's what I always tell my mom and dad. Every grain of rice I eat is what my father has given me, because my father pushed me to pursue my education. He paid for my education and my sister's education. He put us where we are. And whatever salary or whatever I get right now is what he gave me. So I respect that so much. And I'm going to teach that to my children. I'm going to tell them, explore your talent, explore music, explore whatever you want to do. But remember that this degree is your safety.
Relationship is a little tricky because in our culture, parent and children, like, the child doesn't really have that freedom to say, like, until some point. And the parents always think like they're protecting, more of a helicopter parenting, I would say.
Absolutely. And I think the key is, so for parents, right? Expose your children to different things. Observe your children. For number one, observe your children. If you notice that every time a song pops on, your kid is like dancing, maybe they should go into dance class. Observe. If you know that your child loves playing in the backyard with the water, maybe swim class. Exposed, and then don't go into this competitive nature that they have to be the best. They have to be number one. When you start pushing them, right? So for my parents, I used to do my science fair. My dad used to like train me, make sure I practiced and everything. But if I didn't win, he was never disappointed, or at least he never showed us that he was disappointed. He would be like, you did a good job. You didn't explain this properly. Can you tell me why you didn't explain this properly? Or, he would try to get me to perfect or to create more practice within myself, but he would never say like, you didn't win number one. Like, what's wrong with you? You're such a stupid person. Never.
Yeah.
And she was always proud. Whatever we delivered, she was proud.
Or also, like, as a kid, like, now that I have two little boys, I can imagine your state. Like, you had the freedom to fail or to make mistakes and be okay with it. That's a very powerful lesson, I think.
That's very powerful. And with that being said, my parents are very strict also. Like, and that's something I believe I turned out great. And the reason I believe I turned out great is because of the way my parents raised me. They were very strict, but they also gave me freedom. I appreciate every Indian parent and every Indian child for putting up with that relationship, putting up with that constant conflict. So kudos to you. Like, if you're Indian, whether you're a parent or a child, like, battling between these thoughts and these cultural differences is so hard. So and this is what I was telling someone that I care very much about. If you're protecting, providing, loving, caring, and supporting for your loved one, you've done it. Always remember that. If you're able to do all of those things, provide, protect, love, support, or encourage, or care, whatever you want to call it, you've done it. And keep in mind is the most important thing.
But often, like, these four are, I think, overridden by success. Like, if you're successful, if you're rich, that's what is perceived as a successful parenting. From
and it's that whole concept of generational wealth. It's being able to pass on that generational wealth, which is another reason why, for me, if you ask me, Yashu, what is your goal? What is your goal in life? I will tell you, my goal in life is to be rich AF.
Said that.
And the reason is because for me, I want to live comfortably, but with the rest of my money, I don't even want to give it to my kids. I want to give it to communities. So I can build communities. So suddenly we're building generational wealth in communities, not just my family, but in communities. And that is like, if you guys have a goal is this big, my goal is this big. And people say, like, what's your goal? I say, I want to be rich. People are like, oh, you're money minded. It has nothing to do with money. I want to be rich on every aspect of wealth. And I want to be rich because with that money, I'm trying to build communities. I'm trying to build generational wealth in communities and not just for my family. And that's what I was telling you earlier, right? I'm happy with my room. I'm happy if I can get myself a car and provide for my family. If I can achieve those things, then with everything else I have, my goal is to give back, because that is wealth for me. You know what I mean?
I think, Yashu, people like you should be the community leaders, politicians. Like, you should probably be in a place where you have the power to bring that change. I really hope you will be there one day, and I'm here crossing my fingers.
Absolutely.
So Yashu, that tells me that you have had great supportive parents, and I see where you're coming from. Thank you so much for sharing your insights from your childhood. So with that, I would like to ask another question. Like, for being a plus size model, who is your inspiration? Are you looking up to someone in the modeling field or in your life?
Absolutely. I think for me, my inspiration, it's a combination of people. It's a combination of people. But I would definitely say the models in the industry in general, I'm very proud of. It's Ashley Graham, who is very well known, or even if it's people within Indian world, I think Varshita, who is Sabyasachi's model, who is plus size, not necessarily as plus as me, but she was the first trendsetter there. Indian settings. So those women are definitely like icons for me, as well as Tabria, who is also another model, was recently signed with Rihanna's Fenty. So, all of this different models that I see are so inspiring, and seeing how open they are with their bodies. With that being said, I feel like, and this is not good, and not to sound narcissistic in any way, but I feel like I inspire myself. I see my own personal growth, and I inspire myself. And that really hit home for me when I recently was called in for this curvy competition for a body positivity campaign. And I did a nude shoot. And that was really bold, very big, something, I went through emotions. I cried. I went through like a whole roller coaster of emotions. But after doing that shoot, I was so liberated. And I was so inspired by myself, and realized like, wow, I truly believe in body positivity. I truly believe in my divine entity, whatever the body that I have is. So in that moment, I inspired myself.
You are doing the mission like the way you should do. I still remember our conversations the day before. You were having mixed feelings about it. But you did it. Like, I even read your post, which was super inspiring. Like, you won the competition. Like, it's not the medals or the prize or cash award, but you accomplished the mission about the body positivity, and you're ultra comfortable with yourself. You have accepted yourself in a way that, not everybody does. And I think that is super inspirational.
It's always about what will they think? What will they think? What will they think? We always hide because we fear what society or someone else thinks. We don't even fear because we're going to fall or we're going to hurt. We fear because we fear what other people will think.
How was the response for that? Like, from rest of the culture, and I'm interested more in like, how did the Indian community or your friends receive it, and what were the comments like?
Okay, the empowerment that I got from those pictures was phenomenal. It was my most received picture on my entire page. I had so many compliments come in. I had so many people reach out to me in the industry to work with me. So I had a lot of outreach, which was great. Now, when it comes to culture, I had a lot of people who are ABCDs, or American born confused. Confident Desis, like myself. Who reached out to me, and they showed support, which was amazing. They showed so much love. A lot of people were very happy with the whole movement. And I've made a post about this in the past. There were those Indian men who messaged me asking me how much was my daily rate, asking me how they
kidding me?
Book me, asking me if they can get more nudity in the picture. If I could send more body parts and inappropriate statements. And it's so funny because no other ethnicity messaged me this. It was
sorry, Yashu. I honestly don't know how to respond to the comment that you've just made.
And I actually, if you guys check my profile, I've removed the pictures. I removed the pictures because I realized I don't trust Indian people. I'm Indian. I love my heritage. I don't trust Indian people. And the reason is because I'm scared they're going to do something. They're going to misuse my pictures. They're going to do something inappropriate with them. They're not going to.
They're going to continue harassing you. They're going to continue asking or saying inappropriate things.
And people come at me. They're like, you grew up in the US, so you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. People come at me but you know what? I probably know more about my heritage than you do. Growing up here, I probably know more about my Indian culture and heritage more than you do. And I always tell people this, that it doesn't matter. Leave culture. Why is it that I've posted this picture, but nobody messaged me inappropriately, except, is it coincidence that it was only Indian men? So many men message me and tell me, I have so much respect for you. I want to show this picture to my sister. I want to show this picture to my daughter. I've tell me, like, this picture is not vulgar. This picture is empowering. I respect you for this. And those men are the type of men I choose to have in my life.
Yeah.
To take it and be inappropriate.
Yeah.
Choose men who admire my body, admire my mind and my soul, but not men who are going to look at the vulgarity or tell me that I'm ugly. Why would I want to be with a person like that?
Facing the criticism, such a hard thing. What are the ways that women or men can stand up against the criticism against their personality, skin color, or whatever that affects their confidence?
The hardest time with criticism, okay? So when
that's exactly why I think you are the right person to answer this question. You have faced it, you've been harassed, bullied, and came out of it. So I want to hear from you.
Again, I would say I'm a Virgo, and so for me, taking criticism is like the hardest thing ever. And my mom always used to say this. She would say that I never listen, that, you know, like, we're telling you for your own good, you don't listen, kind of. And I used to be very defensive. But I've learned the art of listening, and it has empowered me so much. When you learn to listen, you will actually see. That's why I don't even like criticism. It's not criticism. It is pointers. It is tips for you to improve yourself, because they want you to succeed as well.
So when they just pass a negative comment, and you're talking about art of listening. How do I listen to a negative comment that hurts me, that kills my confidence?
Someone commented on my picture, delete this picture, you fat ass. That's what somebody wrote. And then another person wrote, and this was not on this post, it was a prior post. Somebody wrote, look at this girl telling people to get fat and asking their parents to be okay with it. Maybe I should go to my mom and tell her, hey mom, I have cancer. Maybe I should be okay with it. So they were saying that I was a sick person, essentially. So how do I deal with this? And confidence, right? So confidence is the ability to, if you've put in the work, right? If you've put in the work for something, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. You should be confident in that work. If you didn't put in the work for it, if it was sloppy work, if people said something, then they have that, you should listen and see what they had to say. So when it came to my picture and people sending me this hate, right? I thought to myself, am I coming with good intention? Yes. Does this picture look beautiful to me? Yes. Should I accept whatever, whatever I've put out and be proud of it? Yes. So after that point, if I entertain those people, I'm losing the essence of the whole picture. So so blowing this up, generalize. So that was my right? Generalizing. If someone comes at you to tell you like you're ugly, like my mom or anyone, she'll tell me like a horrible picture. That was a disgusting picture. And this is not my most famous picture. I was photographed. I was put in magazines for this picture. My mom was like, delete this before someone sees it. You look awful. My reaction to that was, okay. And you just have to move on. It's just another opinion. It's just another opinion.
Yeah. You don't have to follow it or
you don't have to follow it, because at the end of the day, am I proud of that picture? Do I love that picture? Well, I do, which is the reason I put it out there. If I didn't, I sent it to my mom because I was proud of that picture. So don't forget your intentions as models. I look at my old photo shoots, my new photo shoots, and I'll see like how much I've improved.
Yes. I like that, Yashu. I like when we feel good about our present, but I don't like the other flip side where you look at your old pictures and you don't feel good about yourself. Like, that's something I think needs to be changed. You should be proud of where you were and where you are today.
So you shouldn't, okay, so that, and then you bring up a very good point. You could not like that old one, but you should be proud of the journey, the process.
Yeah.
It is called hashtag respecting the process.
For sure.
Back then.
Yeah.
Recently, I had a really emotional, moment. And I'm going to share it with you. So I was doing the surprise for my mom for Mother's Day, and because of COVID, I couldn't spend Mother's Day with her. So I wanted to do this like little PowerPoint of all of our childhood pictures going up to now. So I was going through files, and before the whole selfie was created, I created the selfie. Okay, I used to take pictures of myself, and this was a form of me. This started when I was in like 6th grade, and this was, I guess, this is building. And so this was like a really rough phase in my life, 6th grade all the way until I faced this battle. And during this phase, I would take pictures of myself, and I was looking at the pictures, and when I tell you, like, I'm posing like this, like I'm doing all of those things which I thought was cool back then. Yashu just like, oh my goodness, oh, I hope nobody sees these pictures. But back then, like, I was just trying to fit in. And I noticed on one of the pictures, I wrote, Yashu's such a good friend. Yashu is the best friend ever. The friend that everyone wants. I never had friends growing up. And that's not even an exaggeration. You can ask me, name one person who was your friend. I never had a friend because I was so bullied and like kept away from people in my school that I never had a friend. And that Yashu was asking for friends. So when I saw I didn't even remember I did all of that. So when I saw the pictures, I thought, like, I am so proud of you, Yashu. Like,
yes.
So
you, from a small kid, like, who was yearning for friendships and who couldn't get one, and to where you are today, like inspiring people, being that confidence coach, being the model, like working for a cause, like, being part of a huge mission. I think you should be very proud of yourself, Yashu.
I'm proud of little Yashu because of how strong she was. Yeah. She was so strong to have faced all of that and be so like resilient and like go through whatever it is that she went through, and to like come out of that and be so empowered. I'm so proud of like little Yashu because she was so lost. She was so lost and like trying to create validation for herself, trying to fit in. And I look and I empathize with her so much. Like, little Yashu, you were so beautiful. You deserved all the friends in the world, and you went through everything, but you came out so strong.
You did.
And she was so strong. That little girl was so strong. And it's like, I'm so proud of her, but I feel for her. I feel for what she went through. And, I don't want that for people. I want that to.
I think you're doing the right thing, Yashu. Like, you're being there, being that person, making sure nobody does that to no other child has to go through that.
Yeah. And so when people tell me like, Mom, Dad, I feel ugly or I feel something, I want those parents to encourage their children to develop friendships. I want people to encourage their children to seek beauty in themselves. If that Yashu was confident and walked the streets and walked her school hallways, I know she would have had all the friends in the world. But because she didn't have that ability and she was so scared
she downplayed herself. She is so insecure.
But she's still trying to fit in. I remember I always used to have that conversation with myself, like when I become famous or like when I become popular in school, I'm going to do this, 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 I'm going to do that, that, that. Because it was like a goal to become popular, to be wanted by people. So my suggestion to parents is like, be mindful. Like I'm going to be mindful of my children. I'm going to make sure that my children are dressing trendy. I'm going to make sure that my children are having friends, have play dates. They're happy in their circles. I'm going to make sure that my children, if they have insecurities, that they can communicate that, like, Mom, I feel ugly. Like, I don't like the way my hair looks, or I don't like the way that people made fun of me for this, this, this. So I can teach them, okay, well, let me see. Let me look at your hair. Okay, yeah, I kind of see why it doesn't look right. Let's see if we can fix it. Or I'm going to say, like, okay, well, this is something that you should own and be proud of. Look at Mom. You know, Amma went through this, this, this. And look at me now. I am world famous, child. You know, and so setting up those standards and using people like that to really influence so that your children don't have to go through that phase of like craving, like wanting a friendship, being wanted, being loved. Let your child know that he or she is handsome and beautiful, respectively. Let your family know like what you're worth. Don't discourage your child for the way they look and the way they are. That doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? Especially if you have the ability to change it. If you know, like, okay, say I was really short, really, really short, and people used to make fun of me for being short. Let me see how I can style myself to look like that cute bite-sized chick, right? Let me see how I can flip it to be positive. If I know that I'm super dark skinned, let me see if I can wear colors and represent that melanin popping. If I had a child who was dark skinned, I would tell my child to say, honey, you rock that melanin. Let people see your beautiful skin. Let people see that melanin, because color is beautiful. You know, if I have a child who's also plus size like me, I would tell my child, we're going to find the best outfits that are going to make you look so handsome or beautiful. Because curvy is gorgeous, big and tall is handsome. And you don't need someone else's validation, because when you look out there, look at me. And again, I point to me. Look at me. I am big. I am curvy. I am dark. I am everything. But I am a world famous person for this reason. For these reasons. So owning it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that, to me, as a parent myself, like, you know, I think I have learned a bunch of lessons from your last few minutes, Yashu, like, you know, telling kids, like, you know, how great they are as they are. They don't really need to seek that validation from other people. And I would love to learn more techniques on how do I communicate to the kids from a very young age, so they don't get trapped in this maze of being wanted, being desired. I really want that recent positive role model stories for my kids to look up to, for me to look up to and be proud of, to learn from. So thank you for being who you are, and kudos for all your work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, Yashu, thank you for filling this episode with so much positivity, courage, and confidence. And I would like to wrap this up with one last question. Um, how to overcome the negative thoughts, and what is your mantra that you want to tell everybody to keep in mind when such things happen? You being confidence coach, I really needed to hear that from you.
Absolutely. So there's so many different kinds for me, right? There's so many different kinds of negative things. Am I like every human? I have negative things happen to me on every aspect of life. I'll have negative things happen to me financially, emotionally, spiritually. So you have to kind of remember what it is that you're facing, right? Be mindful of what it is you're facing. So I have one generic one that applies to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And affirmation. It's an affirmation, and I use this affirmation all the time. And it is, I affirm that I will attract and be abundant in every aspect of wealth, health, happiness, and love. I've covered all bases. I've touched all bases, and I'm affirming that I'm going to attract and be abundant in them. And that empowers me. But other than that, what I use for myself is honestly, the way that I overcome like negative feelings and negative emotions is just breathing. My breathing is my mantra. My breathing is therapy. When I breathe it out, it helps me put things into perspective and just believing, like, always just believe that the universe is putting you in the right place at the right time for the right reason. The universe is never going to do you wrong. I went through some really traumatic events in my life, but I'm thankful, like right now, like retrospect, right? When you think about it, like when you turn your head and look in the past and think now, you think like, this is the reason that this happened. Not everything is going to be justified. People can always come up with excuses like, yeah, but that didn't need to happen. Like, you didn't have to go through that to realize this lesson. But yes, I did. That's why I'm here now.
Yeah, you needed that. Like, I read this book, Obstacle is the Way. Like, you have to pass through that to
Writing that down.
become,
I love it.
Yeah, Obstacle is the Way. It's by Ryan Holiday. It's a great book. The whole concept is you just can't skip an obstacle or find a shortcut around it. You have to go through that. Yeah.
And that's why, yes, I burn my hands and touch the leaves, but because
that's how you learn. So yeah,
that's
it's
how
working.
That's how I learn. And I feel like because of this, I'm so balanced and so open. I've been through so many things that I can relate. Name it, I have been through it. And that's just, again, that's a part of my life that I don't
I think that's what made you what you are today, Yashu. I think that's what I think has happened to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so much for sharing your story with me, for being vulnerable, for pouring out that confidence out there, for touching on different great topics.
Absolutely. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Know that what you're creating is generational wealth. Wealth doesn't have to be money. What you're is generational wealth because you're teaching your children these values that they can carry on generation to generation. So you're also contributing to the generational wealth of communities.
It makes me feel so good, Yashu. And also I remember in one of your first emails where you said like storytelling is a powerful way of sending that message out there. And I'm totally with you on that. Like, I would really love to learn more stories. And I sent you the list of all the taboos that I personally hate or don't like or would like to bring some change on. So I hope I will be able to cover most of them in future.
You will. And I know I speak into existence. You are doing such a fantastic job and you will continue to do so. Everything, all the power is with you. And as long as you are doing this with great intention and with happiness, and it's something that you're passionate about, nothing can stop you, sweetheart. This is the way to go. You are creating generational wealth. Had anyone ever questioned you, you tell them, while you're creating wealth, I'm creating generational wealth. So
I will keep that in mind. Yeah. I really enjoy doing this because I don't even like look at my time or do something, because this is what I wanted to get out of people. Like, it's like I'm reading a book. I'm reading your book, right? I want to know more of that. Like, that's super important for me, like super, super valuable to me, right? Not everybody shares these lessons or these.
For you to like host it and be open and come up with your questions and coming up with your structure, that is so important too. So you being a great host, and then you also scouting and finding people and being positive, I think it's such a beautiful balance. And I wouldn't interview with anyone else other than you. So please know,
thank you.
It's really great. I loved your questions. I loved your preparation. I'm looking forward to the video and I can't wait to send it to people. More people will contact you because they would want to be featured. So just be open to all the opportunities coming your way.
Thank you so much, Yashu. Thank you so much. I do really appreciate every single second that you have spent with me today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
So friends, that is the end of our today's episode. I will all see you again in another great story. Until then, take care.